Copyright is one of the most important things when it comes to design, animation, film, television, books, publications, and music. Now, with this, whenever we create something that is ours, that is our intellectual property, and that cannot be infringed upon or copied, or else you'll be sued, much like Demetrius Polychron, the writer of the series that is apparently to sequel Lord of the Rings. And the first book has already been written, and it is called The Fellowship of the King. The sequel is coming out soon as well, called The Two Tree. I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. He decided that Amazon and the Tolkien estate were infringing on his copyright to writing the series, and he sued them. And we've had an update, and to no one's surprise, it went horribly for him. So we're going to delve into this and talk a little bit about how important copyright actually is. Let's fire in. So from this, back in April of this year, Demetrius Polychron decided that the Amazon TV series Rings of Power, a Lord of the Rings prequel, he decided that that series, as well as the Tolkien estate and Tolkien's writings, had infringed on his copyright when he was writing a sequel to Lord of the Rings, and he decided he was going through to sue them. And to absolutely everyone's surprise, by everybody I mean absolutely nobody, he failed. The sue backfired. The sue? That's not the correct word. Him suing them backfired so badly that not only does he need to destroy all of his physical and digital evidence of the books that he has written, he also owes Amazon and the Tolkien estate $134,000. Now, I don't know what gave him the gall to decide that he has written the sequel to The Lord of the Rings. Surely that right would go to the Tolkien estate, and it would go to the grandson of one of the best and greatest writers of our time, of all time. I'm saying that I may be slightly biased because I love Lord of the Rings, really. Hi guys, I just wanted to quickly come on here, just pause from the video for a sec, just to say thank you so much for all the support that I've been getting, the views, the comments, the subscribers as well. I've gained over 50 within the last week, which has been absolutely crazy. And the support that you've all been giving me has been absolutely incredible, and I cannot thank you all enough. Here's to the next 50, I guess. But I just wanted to say thank you so much. But we're going to fire back to the video now, so we'll hop on over. Come here. You okay up there? Yeah, she's fine. What we learn from this is that copyright's actually incredibly important, your intellectual property, and also making sure that you do copyright and you do also, claim the rights to, whether it's a brand, whether it's, a book or a publication, whether it is a film, whether it is a script, no matter what it is, having something copyrighted and having something and understanding your intellectual property laws are so incredibly important. And that goes for designers as well. I do, however, want to quickly talk about the full case. I say the full case, just the results of the case. So I've got here that this is one of, I think, the dumbest large action lawsuits I have ever seen in my life. I mean, to think that, this guy, hats off to him. I do have some respect for him that he continuously tried all the way from 2017 contacting Christopher Tolkien and the Tolkien estate saying that, hey, can we collaborate on this project? It did go ignored, and then they did very swiftly tell him no, which he then actually physically and personally delivered his manuscript that he wanted to be reviewed by Christopher Tolkien, and that largely went ignored, and he actually went to his own home and tried to deliver it, which I think is crazy. But from this, what basically happened was he'd fired off this lawsuit, and just last week a permanent injunction against the Fellowship of the King and the 6 sequels Polychron had planned was granted. The judge on the case described his lawsuit as frivolous and unreasonably filed, and awarded legal fees to the Tolkien estate and Amazon in the sum of $134,000. This was some serious stuff, which, as, a huge fan of the series and, also as an artist and designer myself, I know it might be slightly different in terms of writing and, becoming an author and publishing your own works. To have something that is yours, that you've held so closely, infringed upon in this way and, copied in so many ways, it must be quite, not quite insulting in a way, but it must, hurt to a certain degree to, say no, but then have somebody continue to push. And ultimately, and excuse my swearing, but you fuck around, you find out, and this is ultimately what Polychron has done. He has went far too far. He did an Icarus, he flew too close to the sun, and his little booties cast fireball on themselves, and he just went up in smoke. And now that's him. Any of his ideas, his writings are now permanently gone, and he won't be able to do that anymore. Just write fan fiction. Do what the rest of us are doing. Do what I did 10 years ago when I was a child. I say 10 years ago, it's probably about 20 years ago now I was a child. But I mean, I still am mentally. But just write fan fiction and maybe sell, parts of it, or do it in chapters, and, maybe create a Patreon, do something that way as, a homage to Tolkien and his works. I understand where you were coming from, Polychron, I really do, but dear God, you just totally missed the basket with all of your eggs. And hopefully as well, this does dissuade others from, infringing on the works of the Tolkien estate, and also, the works of Amazon Prime, who are working very, very closely with them on the next series of Rings of Power, which I'm very, very excited for, honestly. There were some mixed reviews, but I loved it. It was Lord of the Rings. It, followed the story quite well, and I absolutely loved it. Now, I do want to quickly delve into intellectual property and copyright, and also some of the differences and some of the nuances, and also some of the terminology. So starting off with intellectual property. Now, with this, intellectual property, or IP, refers to creations of the mind. Take, for example, inventions, literary or artistic works, as well as designs, symbols, names, and images that are used in commerce. I'll have, some examples here as well. But IP is protected by law. For example, you've got patents, copyrights, and trademarks, which these enable people to earn recognition or financial benefit from the things that they invent or create. Take, for example, Nike and some of their, ads and the designs that they have. Those will be trademarked and copyrighted under the Nike brand and business. But from this, we do have 6 different types of intellectual property and ways to protect your intellectual property. So, for example, we have patents as well, which they are exclusive rights granted for an invention. Take, for example, Da Vinci's, flying machines. If he decided that he wanted to trademark those or, keep those under his own intellectual property, he would be able to patent it as his own invention and then, commercialize it that way. From there as well, we have 2 of the really big ones, which are copyright. It's a legal term used to describe the rights that creators have over the literary and artistic works. Take, for the example that I've just used in terms of Tolkien and his works, The Lord of the Rings. Those are copyrighted under the Tolkien estate and also under Tolkien themselves. Works as well that are covered by copyright can range from books, music, painting, sculpture and films, to computer programs, databases, advertisements, maps as well, and technical drawings. Next as well, we do have trademarks. This is another really big one. It is a sign capable of distinguishing the goods or services of one enterprise from those of other enterprises. Trademarks date back to ancient times when artisans used to put their signature or mark on their products. Take, for example, like armours and shields and things like that you would have within medieval times. With this as well, industrial designs is another one that constitutes to the ornamental or aesthetic aspect of an article. Take, for example, cars. Car brands are a really good example of this in terms of industrial design, in terms of cars. Take, for example, a design may consist of 3-dimensional features such as the shape or surface of an article, or 2-dimensional features such as patterns, lines, or colour. Mentioning cars again, talking about not just their logos, which are trademarked, but also the design of their cars and the technical drawings of those. Geographical indicators as well. Geographical indicators and appellations of origin are signs used on goods that have a specific geographical origin, and they possess qualities, a reputation, or characteristics that are essentially attributable to that place of origin. Most commonly, a geographical indication includes the name of the place of origin of the goods. And lastly, trade secrets. Now, trade secrets are intellectual property rights on confidential information which may be sold or licensed. The unauthorized acquisition, use, or disclosure of such secret information in a matter contrary to honest commercial practices by others is regarded as an unfair practice and a violation of the trade secret protection. Now, I didn't know about half of these. I only really knew about patents, copyright and trademarks as well. So it's interesting to see how different categories are covered by different intellectual rights and intellectual property. But if you do want to have a look more into these, I'll leave a couple links below in the description to help yourselves out and familiarise yourself with your copyright and intellectual property laws. We do need to ask though, what exactly is copyright and how does that relate to intellectual property? Now, copyright is the protection extended to the creator of an original artwork. Take, for example, the Mona Lisa. That would have been Da Vinci's own artwork. That would have been his own copyrighted piece. It provides the sole rights to the use and distribution of the work and normally ends after a specific period of time. After the time is up, the copyright can be renewed, or the work will pass into the public domain where it legally may be used without giving notice of the original creator and without the need to recompense to the former owner. Now, something as well that copyright can have and do is it can be sold. It can be sold and the ownership can be transferred to a different entity, whether that is a person, a company, or the like. So take, for example, designing a visual identity system. In the contract that you write, it is also very important that you have a clause about copyright and intellectual property, that until the final payment is made, the project and also the ideas that you come up with, any of the visuals you come up with, any of the visual identity that you produce and create, that's still under your intellectual property and is technically copyrighted by yourself. You own it, the client does not own it, and then all you have to do is put it at the bottom. Once the final payment has been received, then that's it. Then the copyright has been granted to the owner, which will then be the client that can then use those designs in any way that they see fit. And that is probably one of the most important parts of any of your clauses in your contract, as well as also the deposit, as well as the project deadlines and revisions as well. Those are 2 and 3 really important ones there for you. But what is the difference? What is the difference between the two? So intellectual property itself is protected by laws specific to the expression of an idea, like creating something, writing a piece of, whether it's prose or reflective work, whatever that may be, or producing a piece of music as well. That comes under laws specific to intellectual property and the creation of that idea. Whereas copyright is the law specific to the expression of ideas in visual or audio form. So those are 2 quite different things. One is about the expression of an idea. The other one is the expression of ideas that are using visual and audio forms. So that's something that you definitely need to keep in mind as an artist and as a designer. With that though, I did want to just make a quick video. I did find that story absolutely hilarious and also thought I could also spin it into maybe a little bit of advice and a little lesson about intellectual property and copyright, because those 2 things are massively important, and it's about understanding what rights that you have when that is infringed upon. But that's been me. My name's Craig. I have no idea what I'm doing. I am a graphic designer from Scotland, and I'll see you all next video. See you later, guys. Bye.